Alright, what's going on, ladies and germs? It's Friday night. I think I recorded part 1 of this video on Wednesday. I had a bunch of other stuff going on yesterday, and I wasn't feeling well. Allergies and whatnot kicked my ass, but I did a little bit of stuff off camera. I'm going to go through the stuff that I got working first, and then we're going to talk about what we're going to do today. So, this Legend of Zelda cart, this actually works. There was a little bit of corrosion on there. I was able to scrape it off. It was like 2 pins, very, very minor corrosion. That's all it took to get this game working again. And as I was looking at this cart, I noticed that the corrosion on the carts is like on the surface and not so much like normal corrosion where it's kind of pitted. I'm trying to figure out a good way to explain this. So basically, if you have a board, right, and then you have corrosion, it kind of eats into the pins and there's like a curve, right? So this corrosion is eating all this stuff away, and there's like a curve in there. With this, the corrosion was like a mound or a lump, small lump. And I was able to scrape it off, and there really wasn't much damage to the pins at all. So once I noticed that on this one, and I'm pretty sure all these games came from like the same person who traded into that video game store, I went back and I said, you know what, I'm going to look at that WrestleMania again, and I'm going to see if I can't get it working. I don't give 2 shits about it, but I'm going to see if I can get it working. And that actually came out pretty well. Let me zoom in a little bit. So I'll try to show like a still shot here of what it looked like originally, and this is what it looks like now. I mean, it's not perfect, it's not really great even, but there are no broken traces or anything like that, so that was cool. And I just scraped all that stuff off, used a little bit of metal polish and some alcohol to buff all that stuff out, and it actually works perfectly. So knowing that that one works, and as shitty as that one looked, I went back and I did the Tecmo Super Bowl, and I was able to get that one working too without actually having to like transfer chips or anything like that, or do even any trace repairs. So that turned out, let's focus here. Can we focus? Alright, that actually turned out quite well, and like I said, it doesn't look good, and I wouldn't actually sell any of these games because they look like shit still. But these will be freebies to somebody down the line. I don't know who the hell wants these. But so far we are 4 of 4 for the 8 carts that we got in this lot. We got Legend of Zelda working. This one was already working. This camera just does not like to focus at all. So this World Championship Racing crap game, that one's working off the bat. We got the Legend of Zelda working. I got Earthworm Jim working, which is somewhere else. I think it's already on my shelf right now. So actually this is 5 of 8. We got Tecmo Super Bowl working. We got WrestleMania working, which I did not think was going to work at all. I thought that one was done for. So what we're going to do today, I'm going to try to keep this video somewhere around the 10-minute mark, because looking at the analytics, people watch for like 8 minutes or so and then tune out. So cool, I get it. Nobody wants to watch 30 minutes of this nonsense. I got you. We got a copy of Super Ghouls and Ghosts. This one is actually something I would try to sell. So I am going to actually just clean all these up first and see if they fire up, and then I will go ahead and do a board swap. I've got my notepad around here somewhere. I don't remember where I put it, and I don't remember what game I'm supposed to swap the chip on with this one for it to actually work. Have to look that one up. I think this might have been one that I didn't have an extra copy of, whatever it was. We got Donkey Kong Country. Again, I'm just going to clean these pins up. And when I say clean the pins, I mean like scrape the shit out of this one. And this one was the one that had the battery that was like taped on. So I'll fix that as well. Try to get this original one working first, and then I'll do a chip swap to a nicer board and actually have that for sale somewhere. Of course, cheaper than what an actual copy would cost in this condition. Which, to be honest with you, I don't even know if it's worth doing it. Probably get like 10 bucks for that thing. And then with Yoshi's Island, this one, it doesn't look that bad now looking at it and knowing that this stuff is shit that you can just scrape off. But I'll try to get that working first, and I believe this is the ROM chip that we need to swap out. So that should be pretty easy. I can try to get in there on one of these and just do some scraping and show you exactly what I'm talking about when I say scrape some of this crap off. What's a good one to start with? Let's start with this one. So what I do And it'd be way easier if I had a microscope that we can look under, but I'm going to try to show this as best as I can. Alright, we're semi-focused there. So I've got this X-Acto knife, right? This is all you need. You want to scrape, but you don't want to like dig into it. Just kind of, we'll start off with these few pins here, and then you can see what I'm talking about. I'm trying to do this without my hands being in the way. So let's zoom in a little bit there and just kind of see exactly what it looks like, sort of closely. So it looks like it's shit that just kind of ate through, but when you scrape it off, oops. Or if you look at it underneath a microscope, you'll notice that it's like all surface stuff. I mean, some of it eats through, but it doesn't eat through totally and break traces, so that's kind of good. There's still copper underneath there. So I'll take the X-Acto knife and just kind of lay it flat like this and just very gently scrape that stuff off. You see how that just comes off? I mean, there's a little bit of a pitting there, but there's still copper underneath there. So I don't know what this stuff is. It doesn't look like mud. It might be. I don't know if mud would eat through. I guess it would because it's got water in it. But the corrosion, the actual damage there is actually fairly minor, is what I'm trying to say, I guess. So like I said, I'll just do these few real quick so you can see what I'm talking about. And then I'll get in there to where I can actually see better. And I'll do all the other stuff off camera, and then when we get to replacing the chip, I'll just do that on camera. And I know there's folks that aren't going to agree with this, but I'm telling you, if this shit doesn't work anyway, what are you going to do? Like, what are you going to do? Are you just going to be like, whatever, I'm not going to fix it, or are you going to scrape this shit off? There's so many people out there that are against scraping corrosion off of carts. So if you look at these first like 3 or 4 pins, right, on this side, they're cleaned up quite well. I mean, it's not perfect, obviously. And I'm going to clean this with alcohol and then buff it out with some metal polish and then clean it with alcohol again, and they'll look actually really nice. I mean, in comparison to what they look like now anyway. So I will be back in, I don't know, 10-15 minutes. Alright, this is going to be incredibly difficult to do with one hand. I'm going to try to show you what I'm talking about here. So all this right here was basically corroded like this. Just scrape, 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 and it's kind of hard to see here, but there's still actually metal underneath here. But I think it's really important to get all this rust and crap off of there if you want to get this thing working again. I mean, you can go over it with a little bit of solder too, but all I'm doing right now is just like I said, just scraping all this corrosion and crap out. This one actually, I take that back, that might even be broken, but these, yeah, it's like impossible to do this with one hand. So I got one hand holding the cell phone up to the microscope, the other hand holding the board down. Just, yeah, it's really difficult to do this with one hand, but that's basically what I'm trying to say. Is just, you know, go over it, make sure that the blade is flat, and just scrape this stuff off. And it's going to look kind of shitty like this, but once you polish it up and whatnot, it should look a lot better. Again, this part right here might be broken, but there's a little bit of copper here still, so I think that'll still work, and that doesn't really even go anywhere anyway. So we'll keep on cracking on this, and I'll get back to you in a little bit. Alright, so we're done cleaning these pins on the Super Mario World 2, or the Yoshi's Island. You'll see up close underneath the microscope, it still looks like shit, but I don't think there are any broken traces here. The idea is to get as much of that crap off as possible, and you'll see some are just kind of eaten all the way through, but you want to get all the rust and crap out of there so it doesn't continue to corrode and eat away at these pins. So again, they look pretty bad right now underneath the microscope, and there's all kinds of rust and crap that was scraped off. Let's take a look at it underneath the regular camera. All right, so this is a very basic scraping and cleaning. It looks a lot better if you look at it from far away, not so much underneath the microscope. Again, you'll still see lots of pock marks and whatnot on there, but some of that stuff will be less visible once I actually polish the pins. So let's go ahead and pop it in the system and see if it works. Alright, I'm gonna say probably not actually. Try it in. I'll be damned. That's what's up. So it's good to know that even though I'm going to do the chip swap and sell off the American version with a nicer board, it's good to know that the Japanese card isn't going to be dead. So it's going to be saved. I'm not going to be just using it as a donor. So let's go ahead and swap that out now. Alright, so we got our US card here, the one that's jacked, and we got a Japanese card here. And I had to verify which ROM it is, or which chip it is. It's the mask ROM, so it'll be that one here that we're gonna take off. So I gotta turn on the air. I'm sorry, I gotta suck up these fumes because I want to breathe this shit in. So you can hear some noise. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use some old Amtech flux. We're gonna put just a little bit. Ew. Popping. Just a little bit on there, not too much, and put some hot air on that bad boy, and we'll heat them up, remove them, swap them, clean up the boards, and then we'll be good. I got my I got my hot air at about 360 degrees. And I guess we'll start with the American cart first, because why not? And you all see. I really need to get an overhead camera set up somehow. Alright, I guess that's alright, I suppose. So I'm just gonna go around the chip and melt it. I actually want to turn that air down just a little. You don't want to stick the air nozzle on any one particular part of the board for an extended period of time, because it'll start warping and bubbling up. You don't want that. Just slowly and methodically heat up the area. A minute or so. And then we'll get a little closer and a little bit more direct with the heat. So what you're looking for, and I know it's incredibly difficult to see on this camera, but you want to make sure that the solder starts to get shiny, which means it's liquefying, and then get it off. Just kind of pry the chip up a little bit and see if it moves. Don't do it too fast because you'll rip some pads. Don't want to do that. The objective is to be nice and slow. It's coming up just a little. Just ease up on it until all the legs come up. Last thing you want to do is rip pads and then you start running wires and scraping. You don't want to do that. So I think that came off pretty cleanly. Yes, it did. So we'll keep that here with the US board, and then we'll get the Japanese copy all done up. Oh, I'm telling you, these allergies are kicking my ass. I went outside today to take out the trash and whatnot. My car was entirely covered with pollen. It's fucking terrible. Another thing I'm going to do, just for the hell of it, I'm going to test the voltage on the batteries and make sure that they're good too. If they need to be swapped out, I'll swap them out. action. You guys see, try not to move the board too much. It's kind of hard not to though. There we go. So there's that one, and I just want to check and make sure I didn't break any traces or anything on there. Oh, I was still heating the board at that point, but let's see. Can you all probably not see what I'm doing? That's fine. I'm just gonna look underneath the microscope and make sure all the traces are good, or all the pads. I'm sorry. So, yep, everything looks good. What I like to do, once I get to this point, some people might say, hey, there's flux still on the board, why bother cleaning that up? I'm going to clean it up because it gets really sticky and it gets very irritating to try to work with. So I'm just going to get some alcohol and kind of clean that stuff up. That way I can kind of slide everything on there without it getting stuck and being difficult to move. And then I'm also going to go ahead and wick the pads, get them clean so that the chip lays flat, and then I'll add my solder from there. I was going to clean the bottom side of the chip too, because that's another area that kind of makes it difficult to work with if it's all sticky. Try not to get fibers and stuff on there either, which is not going on. That's alright. That should be fine. Okay, again, what I'm going to do, and maybe I should have done this before I cleaned up the flux, I'm just going to add some leaded solder to make all that stuff easier to come up or wick up with the braid. It just helps. We'll get our braid and we'll just run it across. You want to lay this, I'm sorry, you can't see there, can you? You want to lay this, well, shit, how am I going to do this? I'm trying to do it at a bizarre angle. You want to lay the braid down and just heat it a little bit and let it slide across the pads. I know some people say don't do it from a diagonal type of angle. You want to go up, whatever. These pads are good. We're not putting too much heat on them. We're not going to put a lot of pressure. We're just going to slide it down very, very gently, very, very lightly. It's the easiest way to get it done. But I mean, whatever floats your boat. If that's what you want to do the other way, do them one at a time, feel free. Just make sure I'm not screwing it up. It's really difficult to do at this angle. Very slowly, very lightly, very methodically. It's not a race. Alright, looks good. A little bit more alcohol in there, just clean some of that stuff up. Good to go. So we got our US chip here. Actually, let me clean that off too. With this one, we're going to go chip side with the little dot off to the right. And then all we're going to do, and I got to look at it underneath the microscope because I've mentioned before that my eyes are trash. I'm going to line it up and then I'll solder each corner and then we'll go from there. So let me break for a sec. Alright, so I've lined that up underneath the microscope. That actually didn't take too long at all. So I'm going to solder each corner. Flux it up. Let me see if I can go underneath the microscope so you guys can see what I see. Very difficult to do this with one hand and holding the phone up to the microphone, but just kind of go on there and solder. Pretty easy stuff. I guess maybe I can do this with one hand. I didn't think I would, but this is probably the easiest part to screw up. So I'll be amazed if I'm actually, oops. Let's try that again. Where are we at? I was gonna say I'd be amazed if I'd be able to do this competently with one hand and then looking through the freaking cell phone screen, but oh man, it's not good. Flux helps so much with this. Doesn't really matter. I guess it doesn't matter too much what kind you use. I don't like flux paste. That stuff is fucking horrible. So I'm going to go back over these and make sure I got a good connection. But you guys kind of get the idea. I'm going to do the other side real quick, clean it up, and then we'll test it out and make sure it works. Okay, so I think that was actually pretty painless. It looks pretty good. Again, it only took me like 2 minutes to do, if that. So I'm going to clean this up with some alcohol, and I'm not going to hold the camera like this while I'm doing it. I'll just zoom out. Sorry, I know. Not exactly high quality production here. Sorry. So clean as much of that stuff off as we can. And I might put this thing in the ultrasonic cleaner. I don't know. I don't really think it needs it. I mean, just cotton swab and a little alcohol. I like to actually drench it in alcohol at some point. Just put a paper towel down here, drench it like so, and then use my little brush, or you can use a toothbrush, whatever. I just kind of sometimes feel like the toothbrush is a little too harsh. Just get all that stuff out of there, and it kind of gets underneath the chip a little bit too. Alright, cool cats and kittens, I've blown off all the excess. Got the multimeter out. We're going to check to see if we got 3 volts on the battery. The bottom side is the positive, top side is the negative, so we'll run the red lead to the bottom. And I'm hoping you can see that multimeter. It says 2.9823, so it's like close to 3 volts. Good enough. That battery should still be good. So let's check that out and see if it works. It should. Is it on? It is on. Son of a bitch. Had to clean those pins again. Let's try it again. Wow. Make me look like an idiot. There we go. Right? Maybe? Alright. Let me clean out my cart slot and then let me take some polish to the things. You know, I didn't even clean the cart. I just put some contact cleaner in the cart slot and let that sit for a minute and just kind of went up and down with the cart, and then it's working. So, shit. Sorry I couldn't show you that. I assumed it was a cart. But should be good. Should be in English. So we'll do the other one off camera. I'll show that one working and then we'll move on from there. Alright, ladies and germs, this is the Japanese cart. Well, it was the American board, but it's got the Japanese ROM on there now. This is the US ROM. We verified that works. We're going to see if this one works, and we're going to go ahead and clean all that stuff up off camera. I just used this, where the hell is it? This metal polish I got in Japan. This stuff is like fucking phenomenal. So I don't know if it's any different from like Brasso and all that, because I can't read any of that stuff on the back, but this stuff is absolutely amazing. If you can get your hands on it, I highly suggest you try it out. Cool. Starts right up. Which is funny that as bad as those pins are, this one started out right away. I guess it really was just a dirty ass cart connector. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and refurb as much as I can. Clean up the shell, because the shell looks like shit too. If we can, I think that was the back of it. Fuck you, Derek. Yeah. So, I mean, it's pretty crappy looking, but we can at least get all this cleaned up and make it look nice. The label's toast. Can you focus in on there? Yeah. So, I mean, there's not really much of any of that glossiness left. But, you know, somebody will get it for a deal, so I guess that's all that matters. Alright, so this is the finished product. This is the cart that was totally disgusting. And if we can zoom in just a little bit, after the pins have been polished and cleaned up and all that, get that underneath the light. It doesn't look too bad, to be honest. It doesn't look too bad at all. So even with all that scraping and the little pock marks in the pins, I mean, you can still make it look pretty good. Doesn't look perfect, but it works. Didn't have to clean the cart too much because it was already good. And then this is the one, the Japanese copy, that was already good. Clean those pins up, they look spectacular now. And the chip looks like it's on there pretty good. It's not too sloppy or anything like that, so that's good. Did a lot of work cleaning this this shell up, though. It was pretty gross. The inside looked like it had, I don't know, some kind of soda or something spilled on there. So that's good to go now. Fairly happy with the way that turned out, and the back of the cart wasn't too bad. There was some marker writing up there I got off with the old Ben Bizzle special. Shout out to Ben. Rain-X works absolutely amazing on Super Nintendo carts. Not so much on Super Famicom carts because the plastic seems a little bit more porous, but on Super Nintendo carts, it's really nice. So I think that's going to go ahead and conclude this video. This is what, 5, I think, 6 of 8. Hold on, let me get the stack. Where's the stack? Yep, 6 out of 8 working from that really disgusting beginning. We got 2 more to go. We got Donkey Kong Country. I guess I'm going to go ahead and start off with scraping all that crap off of there before I do any kind of board swap and just see how it looks. And then same thing with this one, but because I want to sell these two, and they're, you know, I wouldn't say pricey games, like 10-15 bucks a piece, something like that. I want to do the board swap on them and get them out of here, but I don't know if I have one for this. I'll have to take a look. So if I can find a donor for that, I'll do that. But that's going to conclude this video. I'll catch you guys later, maybe tomorrow or something. Peace out. Have a great night. Stay safe.